we will continue studying chapter number 6 in Science 2, which is animal classification. And today our focus will be on five kingdom classification. Five kingdom classification, which is the modern classification of organisms on the planet Earth. This is what we will do. We will have a quick revision and then we will look at the five kingdom classification in detail. So we will focus on two things within the five kingdom classification. We will understand what that classification is. Classification, if you remember, is grouping. So what are the different groups in this classification, five kingdom classification? And then we will study in detail how the classification is done, what criteria, what reason, what logic is used to classify the organisms the way they have been classified. These are the two things that we will try to do in today's class. A revision, a diagram is going to come to your screen now. A picture is going to come to your screen now. Don't look at the textbook now. Try answer if you remember. Listen to the question carefully and then you remember. Then you answer. We studied this in the last class. We studied why animals need to be classified. There are more than 7 million different species of animals. So it becomes easy for us. We can see interrelationships between the animals and their relationship with the environment. It becomes easier for us to identify different animals if we classify them. That was the need. And we also studied how classification evolved. We studied about the artificial method, which was mainly based on the outward characteristics, the behavior of the animals. Then we looked at the natural system, which was more about how they are formed, the internal characteristics. Then we saw a classification based on evolution. And finally, we understood, based on all these observation studies, how the traditional or the conventional classification of animals is. It is based on presence or absence of notochords. Notochord is very it's analogous to spine, and nerve cord is analogous to the spinal cord. And based on that, the kingdom of animals is subdivided into two subkingdoms. The subkingdom of non-chordates is divided into 10 phyla. The other subkingdom, I don't remember what the name is, which has only one phylum, I don't remember what the name is divided into 3 subphyla: Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and something else. And the phylum, the third phylum, which I don't remember, is divided into 6 classes. 6 classes: Cyclostomata, Pisces, Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves, and something else. Do you remember what this item is? Number 7, phylum number 7, under subkingdom non-chordates. Don't look into the textbook. Answer if you remember. And I will tell you why I'm asking you this question only. Chand, your answer is correct. In 7, we should, Karina, your answer is wrong. First question is this 7 one, right? So here it should be arthropoda. Arthropoda. Chan, we will not say arthropodas. Arthropoda. It's already plural. When we have a in the end in Latin, it's already plural. Arthropoda. The reason I made this a question is, and we will study later in the chapter, biggest number of animals and biggest variety of animals are in this phylum, phylum Arthropoda, are in this phylum. We will study this. Remember this fact. Next, what is this subkingdom here? Correct. Chand is correct. It is chordates. Alfia, I will give you more marks. It is chordates. Remember, when we are writing the name of the subkingdom, we will say non-chordates and chordates. It's okay if we say chordata, but let's stick to what's given in the textbook. Chordates. Chordates are those animals which have notochord in some shape or form in some phase of their lives. Okay. Next, what is this phylum that is missing? Only phylum which is under the subkingdom chordates. Now here, the only name that is possible is chordata. I hope you are not looking into the textbook. If you are looking into the textbook and answering, then it's cheating. You are cheating yourself. Not good. Chordata. Chordata. And very good, you are participating. Now this phylum Chordata is divided into three phyla, three subphyla: Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and something else. What is that something else? Once again, correct answers in the chat. Vertebrata. Vertebrata. This subphylum Vertebrata is divided into 6 classes: Cyclostomata, Pisces, Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves, and Mammalia. Mammalia, correct. Mammals. And why did I make this a question? Because kingdom Animalia, subkingdom Chordates, phylum Chordata, subphylum Vertebrata, class Mammalia is the hierarchy to which we human beings belong. That is why this also is necessary. Everything that is on the screen, all the words that are on the screen, that will be used in the chapter, and that will be used in the exercise also. But the important ones I've hidden just to bring your attention to the important ones. Good. So I hope we have remembered some things from here. But then at the end of the last class, I told you this is the traditional. This one is a traditional or conventional system of classification. And the system of classification is always evolving. It is evolving because science is based on observation, science is based on facts. So as and when we observe, we get to know more and more about nature, animals, plants. We improve our knowledge, we improve our classification so that we understand them better. When we understand them better, we improve our classification. When we improve our classification, we understand them better. It makes our studies easier. So it's a continuous process. So we don't use the traditional or the conventional method of classification anymore. What we used is called the 5-kingdom classification. 5 kingdom. Remember, once again, here we are just looking at one kingdom, kingdom Animalia. But you also know, and you have studied last year about kingdom Plantae, about plants. So that was the other kingdom. So what are these 5 kingdoms? Where have they come from? Who brought this? The whole system is called 5-kingdom classification. Very non-creative name. There are 5 kingdoms, so the name is 5-kingdom classification. It was Robert Whittaker, scientist, biologist, who observed animals, plants, organisms, and came up with this classification. Robert Whittaker. And his classification is based on this criteria, based on these things. How the body of these organisms are organized. What is the symmetry in the body, if there is any? What is the nature of the cavity in the body? How many germinal layers are there? And what kind of segmentation is there in the body? See, so many new words. We will need our dictionary also. and these words are used in the context of science. So there will be some specific meanings, not just general meanings to these words. We will study them in detail now, today, in this session. This is Robert Whittaker, Robert Harding Whittaker. Look at the time, look at the years when he was working, when he was alive, 1920 to 1980. So it's not, this classification is not very old by other standards, by other things that standards of other things that we study in science. Newton was what, hundreds of years ago, but Robert Harding Whittaker is recently, compared to that, only in the last century, 1920 to 1980. And he had such a short life, only 60 years. Usme bhi, maybe first 20 years he must just be growing up, studying, and then next 40 years he worked. And what is the classification? This is his classification. He divided all the organisms that are found on this planet into these 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae, Animalia. And these are the basic characteristics of the organisms that he grouped in each of these kingdoms. So for kingdom Monera, all these organisms are prokaryotic. Now, if you were there in the previous class, if you have studied so far, you will understand the difference between eukaryotic and prokaryotic, mainly well-organized nucleus. Absorb and photosynthesize, motile or non-motile, asexual. Absorb and photosynthesize means they absorb nutrients or they make their own nutrients by photosynthesis. Motile or non-motile. Motile means they move. Non-motile means they don't move. Asexual is how they reproduce. Only asexual. We still haven't studied this chapter. Life processes part 2. We will study. Then there is Protista. See the difference. Now they are eukaryotic, or nucleus is well organized. Organelles are there. But they are still unicellular. No, unicellular or multicellular. Monera are all unicellular. Whereas Protista can be unicellular, can be multicellular. Absorb, ingest or photosynthesize. Ingest means khana. Absorb means absorb karna. Photosynthesize to make their own carbohydrates. And their reproduction can happen both sexually and asexually. 2 different methods, 2 types of methods. And this is not just random that Monera is kept below the Protista, or Protista is kept above Monera. There is a reason. The reason is evolutionary. Protista have evolved from Monera. Protista are more complex than Monera. Monera are the most basic ones, simplest ones. Then from Protista, I know in the diagram it says protists, but the Latin name would be Protista. So from Protista, there are 3 branches, almost at the same level of hierarchy. One is Plantae. So they also have eukaryotic cells. They are multicellular. They photosynthesize. They are non-motile. They don't move. They stay at one place. And they have asexual reproduction. They have sexual reproduction. Sorry, not asexual. They have sexual reproduction. Animalia, another group of organisms. They also have eukaryotic cells. They are also multicellular. They don't photosynthesize. They ingest, वो खाना खाते हैं in some way. Motile, they move. And they do have sexual reproduction. Finally, fungi. They are also eukaryotic, multicellular. They don't photosynthesize, they absorb. They don't photosynthesize, they don't ingest, they absorb. They are more non-motile, they stay at one place. They also have sexual reproduction. Before we study that life processes part 2, the basic difference between sexual and asexual reproduction is, in asexual reproduction, one cell divides into two. One organism divides into two or many. Simple. It is called asexual. There is no difference between male and female. An organism is an organism. Sexual reproduction means before we create a new organism by combining two different things. So there will be a male cell, there will be a female cell. They will combine to form a new cell, which will grow into an organism. That is the basic difference between sexual and asexual reproduction. 1-to-1, 1-to-2, or 1-to-many is asexual. Combining to form one is sexual. If we use the Latin names, so this is what Whittaker told us. At the bottom, the oldest ones are Monera. Examples are Cyanophyta, bacteria. From there evolved the Protista. These are the correct names, correct Latin names. Most important ones are Rhizopoda, Celiophora, Mastigophoran. Then when we come to Plantae, we have Chlorophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta. याद होगा ये सब आपको? Spermatophyta. In fungi, we have Mycota, Ascomycota, Basidiomycota. And in Animalia, these are the names we know. Porifera, Coelenterata, Platyhelminthes, Echinodermata, Annelida, Mollusca, Vertebrata, Arthropoda. These names we have already seen. 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, Plantae, Animalia, and fungi. Do we need to know all the details? Absolutely no. You will study them in detail when you study biology later in college, if you study biology. For this year, for not just for your understanding, but also for your exams, because you will be appearing for more than one exams this year. Right? You may appear for some scholarship exam. You may appear for some entrance exam. So it will help if you at least know the names of the 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, Plantae, fungi, and Animalia. These names, these details are not there in the textbook. So when you make the notes, at least have the names of the 5 kingdoms. This current chapter that we are studying focuses on only one kingdom. It is kingdom Animalia, on the extreme right top of your screen now. Animalia. The basic fact about this kingdom is it contains all the animals, all the multicellular animals. They are in one kingdom, which is kingdom Animalia. Of course, there are subkingdoms there. There are different phyla. There are different subphyla. There are different classes. Yes, they are there. But all the multicellular animals are grouped together in one kingdom, which is kingdom Animalia. That will be our focus. I am sure you know this already. Okay. So Robert Whittaker, and he looked at body organization, cavity, segmentation, germ layers, symmetry, and he came up with this kind of classification. This is the who, how, and what of the classification. 5 kingdom classification. Next, we will study the different criteria in detail using which Whittaker came up with this classification. The criteria. This is what is given in the textbook from page number 64, 65 to 66. Page number 64, 65, 66. How many criteria are given? Can you look at the 3 pages and tell me how many different criteria are given? Five different criteria are given. Correct. 5 different criteria. So we will read each of these criteria. We will understand what they mean, because we will use this terminology to understand each of the groups under the kingdom Animalia. Okay. That is what we are going to do. First criteria is grades of organization. Grades of organization. What we are going to do, what you are going to do is, in the next 5 minutes, you will read the section which is on page number 64 and 65. Page number 64 and 65, which says A, grades of organization. You are reading on your own in your heads, and you will make a list. What are the different levels? What are the different grades of organization that this classification talks about? Make a list of the different grades of organization. 5 minutes. By grades of organization, scientists have observed that there are 5 different levels. One at the very basic level, which is called the protoplasmic grade, where organisms are unicellular organisms. There is only one cell, which is the entire organism. Amoeba and paramecium. Everything happens in the cell. The cell is the organism. Beyond that, when things become little complicated, we have another grade of organization, which is called cellular grade, where these organisms are multicellular, but the cells are not well defined into different types. There are multiple cells, they work together, and the organism is possible. One example is the phylum Porifera, and one of the biggest example, most common example of the phylum Porifera is sponge, S-P-O-N-G-E. Yes, it's an animal. It's part of an animal, the natural sponge. The next higher level of organization is cell tissue, where cells differentiate. You have studied this last year about different types of tissues, both in plants and animals. In animals, you must remember the nerve tissue, the muscular tissue, right? And in plants, you may remember the tissues that are used for transport, xylem, phloem. So when cells differentiate, when cells become different from each other to do certain specific things, they are called tissue. So when that happens, the organization is called cell tissue organization. And we see this in the phylum Cnidaria, and specific example, jellyfish. There are other examples also. So from unicellular to multicellular to tissues, we have come. Now, when tissues come together and they form organs, organs are made up of a number of cells, number of tissues, and they perform some specific function. Stomach is an organ, eye is an organ, skin is an organ. And this we find in platyhelminthes or flatworms. Not anything before that, anything below that. Finally, when these organs work together as a system, can you give me an example of an organ system in our body? Organ system. All of you know this. You have all also studied this last year. Give me 2 examples of organ systems in our human body. digestive system, respiratory system. Right? These are very common examples of organ systems that are there in animals, that are there in our bodies, humans also. Right? You see, from protoplasmic level to organ system level, the complexity increases. And that is why the animal becomes more and more able. The animal is able to do more things, live in a different way. Protoplasmic, cellular, cell tissue, tissue organ, and organ system grades of organization. So that was grades of organization, how the body of the animals is organized. Is it unicellular, multicellular? Are tissues there? Are organs there? Are organ systems there? That is what is meant by grades of organization. The second criteria, the second aspect that is used to classify organisms in the five kingdom system is called the aspect of body symmetry. Body symmetry. Once again, you will read what is given on page number 65 under section B, body symmetry, very small section. Read and list out what are the different types of symmetry that we find in animal bodies. Symmetry means congruence. And remember, when we said congruence, we said two things are congruent if when we keep one on top of each other, they will cover each other exactly and completely. Exactly and completely. Now look at this open book. This is an open textbook. If I fold this book like this, the two parts are congruent to each other. We can say that the left part and the right part, they are symmetrical. The book is symmetrical across the vertical axis. This is the meaning of symmetry. So what body symmetry criteria tells us is some animal bodies are so random, that is that they don't have any axis of symmetry. They are not symmetrical in any way. Amoeba, paramecium, sponges. And amoeba and paramecium, if you know, they don't even have a fixed shape. They keep changing. But there are other organisms, like the example that is given in the picture, a goat. So if we look at the goat, if suppose the goat is standing in front of us, looking at us, if we imagine an axis passing through the middle of the goat, vertical, dividing it into left and right, that is an axis which divides the goat into two parts. The same axis can be applied to us, a left side and a right side, a right side and a left side. But the axis cannot apply to us in the top and bottom part because that is not symmetrical. So when there are no symmetry, axis of symmetry, the body is called asymmetrical. When there is one axis of symmetry which divides the body into two symmetrical parts, it is called bilateral symmetry. Bi is two, bilateral, lateral is side. Bilateral means symmetry involving two sides. Bilateral symmetry. And the most interesting one is the radial symmetry. So multiple ways you can divide. It's like a circle. You can divide the circle into two equal halves. In multiple ways, we can draw multiple diameters to divide it into two equal halves. So if an organism is cylindrical in shape, if an organism is circular in shape, if an organism is spherical in shape, if an organism is star in shape, then we can imagine these planes which will divide the organism in symmetrical parts, and we can do it in multiple ways, but passing through the center, passing through the central axis. And these axes are along the radius. That is why it is called radial symmetry. No symmetry is called asymmetry. Along the radius is radial. Two symmetrical parts, bilateral symmetry. The third criteria that is used to classify animals, classify organisms in the five kingdom classification is germ layers. What are germ layers? What are the possibilities in case of germ layers? It's explained in a very, very small paragraph at the end of bottom of page number 65. 2 minutes, read and list out the different germ layers that are possible, and based on that, what are the different types of organisms that are possible. So, when an organism is growing, it starts from one cell. Even if the organism ultimately ends up as a multicellular organism with organ system grade of organization, all organisms start from one cell. The cell divides, it becomes multiple cells, the cell differentiate, tissues are formed, tissues organize into organs, and organs combine together to form organ system, and then the organism fully develops, depending on which organism we are talking about. But in this process of growing of an animal, there is the initial phase when there is no differentiation of the cell. All the cells are the same. They look the same. They do the same work. Those initial cells are called germ cells. These cells organize themselves into multiple layers. Sometimes, that is in the case of the animals which belong to the phylum Cnidaria, these organize into only 3 layers. The inner one is called endoderm, the outer one is called ectoderm. There is a layer in between the endoderm and ectoderm, but those cells are dead already. Just like the cells in our hair are dead, just like the cells in our nails are dead. They are not alive, they are dead. So the cells in between endoderm and ectoderm, in case of a diploblastic organism, there is a dead layer. They are dead. And because there are 2 layers, they are called diploblastic. The diploblastic word comes from di is 2, blastic. Blastocyst is a stage of growth of the embryo. So at that stage, there are 2 layers of the cells, endoderm and ectoderm. In most other organisms, in most other animals, not organisms, in most other animals, at the same stage of development, there are not only 2 layers, there are actually 3 layers of germ cells. Inner one is called endoderm, outer one is called ectoderm, middle one is called mesoderm. Because there are 3 layers, these organisms are called triploblastic organisms. Diploblastic and triploblastic, depending on number of layers of germ cells that are there in the embryo. The next criteria that is used in classifying organisms in the 5 kingdom classification is body cavity. Cavity means jaga, hole, space, khali jaga. Cavity, body cavity. What is this body cavity? What are the different possibilities of body cavity? And depending on these possibilities, what are the different classification of the organisms? Read the first paragraph on page number 66, top of the page. Section D, body cavity. List down the different possibilities under this criteria. 5 minutes. Okay. So body cavity is the space between the internal organs and the external skin, the outer part of the body. That cavity is also called as a coelom. The Latin name is coelom. You know, in our body, there is space between stomach and the muscles. That space is the coelom. That is the cavity. This cavity is not present in all the organisms. These are not there in Porifera, Cnidaria, and Platyhelminthes. They are called acoelomate. A means no, nahi hai. Acoelomate, without coelom, acoelomate. This body cavity is present in Annelida and above. The organisms which are Annelida in the phylum Annelida and more complex. And this body cavity is formed from either the mesoderm, gut. We can also say, yes, either the mesoderm or the, we can also say gut as in the endoderm. Whether if it is made from endoderm or is it made from the, or if it is made from the mesoderm, it will be a true cavity. देखो यहाँ पे कैसे cavity बना, endoderm से भी निकला, mesoderm से भी निकला, and there is a cavity. This is what is happening in our bodies. At places they are connected, and at places there is space, cavity. They are called acoelomates. And there are animals, especially Aschelminthes, where they have a cavity, but the cavity is not formed from mesoderm or gut. It is not formed from mesoderm or endoderm. It is formed some other way. We are not getting into the detail of how it is formed, but it is there. They are called pseudocoelomates. Pseudo means false. It's not actually a cavity, but there is a cavity. So if there is no cavity, we call them acoelomate. If there is a cavity and it is formed from endoderm or mesoderm, that is gut or mesoderm, we call it eucoelomate. And if there is a body cavity but not formed from mesoderm or gut, mesoderm or endoderm, they are called pseudocoelomate. Now the question remains, what is the meaning of Annelida and above? We will have to go back to understand what this means. See where Annelida is. It's here. Kingdom Animalia, subkingdom non-chordates, and it is a phylum. So when we say Annelida and above, what we mean is Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata, Cyclostomata, Pisces, Amphibia, Reptilia, apes, and Mammalia. All these eucoelomates. Aschelminthes is a pseudocoelomate. They are pseudocoelomate. And everything before that, Protozoa, Porifera, Cnidaria, Platyhelminthes, they are acoelomate. उनमें body cavity नहीं होता है. So this is the hierarchy. We know ना, simple to complex. Protozoa is the simplest. Mammals are the most complex. So the line is drawn at Aschelminthes, where we have pseudocoelomates. Below that, we have acoelomates, and above that, we have eucoelomate. Let us go back to our slide. The last criteria, the fifth criteria that is used in classifying organisms in the five kingdom system, is called body segmentation. Body segmentation. Now, some organisms have body which are divided, which we will see as it is written in the textbook. The bodies, we will see that body is made up of similar smaller units. And very excellent example is earthworm, which is Annelida. So that kind of body is called segmented. And when such segments are not found, we will say non-segmented. Example of segmented is Annelida, earthworm. I'm sure all of us have seen the earthworm. It has ring-like structures. Those ring-like structures are the segments that are there. So this is very easy. If there are, but our body doesn't have segments. Our head is completely different from our neck, is completely different from our thorax. Nothing similar. Right? So segmented and non-segmented or unsegmented, we can say. There is no specific word for this. Using these 5 criteria, body segmentation, then body cavity, germ layers, body symmetry, and grades of organization, using these 5 criteria, organisms are classified in the 5 kingdom system. And remember, 5 kingdom system, we have Monera, Protista, Plantae, Animalia, and Fungi. But our focus is only on kingdom Animalia. So when we apply these criteria on the kingdom Animalia, this is what we see. So very nice representation of how different organisms or different types of organisms are classified based on this criteria. So it says Porifera, protozoa इसमें नहीं लिखा है. Porifera is acoelomate by body cavity. By body symmetry, it is asymmetrical. It has cellular grade of organization. Because in kingdom Animalia, we are only including multicellular organisms without cell wall. इसीलिए इसमें प्रोटोजोआ नहीं है. Remember this. In the previous classification, protozoa was there. Do you remember? Or shall I show you the classification again on page number 63 of the textbook? In the conventional or the traditional system of classification, protozoa is a phylum under kingdom Animalia. But in this kingdom, we are only taking multicellular organisms, and that is why protozoa is not here. Cnidaria, they are also acoelomate. Platyhelminthes, they are also acoelomate. Aschelminthes, it is pseudocoelomate. Then everything above that is Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata, and everything other in the other subkingdom also. All of them are eucoelomates. So this is a mapping of the criteria with the classification. A summary, a good way for us to remember कहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है, किसमें क्या हो रहा है. With what we have studied in the previous class and this class, we can now answer 2 questions from the exercise. Question number 3 and question number 4. Question number 3 is, write in brief about progressive changes in animal classification. How the classification has evolved from the artificial classification to natural system to evolution based to traditional or the conventional to the 5 kingdom classification. So names, what is the basis of that classification? That is what is required. And you know the logic. The logic is the more science developed, the more we understood about the organisms, and we changed our classification according to that. That's number 3. Number 4, what is the exact difference between grades of organization and symmetry? So grades of organization is protoplasmic, cellular, cell tissue, tissue organ, organ system. With examples. Symmetry, asymmetrical, radial symmetry, and bilateral symmetry. What do they mean? How are they different? That is what it is. So you will do these 2, you will answer these 2 questions as part of your homework and submit it tomorrow night. While I'm asking you to do this, I will have no hesitation in saying this, that such questions usually do not come in the exam because these are descriptive questions. What may come in the exam is there will be a very particular question about what is radial symmetry. Give an example. There will be a question that match the following. Goat. On the one side, we will have different examples of the organisms. So starfish and goat, and on the other side, we will have bilateral symmetry and radial symmetry. We will have to match. We may even be asked to differentiate between radial and bilateral symmetry, but to write, explain, and describe these type of questions are generally not asked. They are not asked in the exam now. Complete the homework and submit.